Today we are going to see spot instances, shared instances and dedicated instances. One by one we can see it. Okay, today we are going to see shared. Very first one is shared instances. So it is like the shared instances, it's like a discount sale in the month of Audi. Okay, they give the cheap price, so that same as this. The spot instance also discounted one. Spot instances are a type of Amazon EC2. It comes under EC2 Elastic Compute Cloud instance that allow you to use unused EC2 capacity in the AWS cloud at up to 90% lower cost compared to on-demand instances. They give 90% lower than the usual price. Key characteristic of spot instances. So pricing, it's very low cost because of the discount. Availability depends on AWS unused capacity in a region or availability zone. That is the available time. It is not available every time, but whenever they give the offer, that time we have to use it. Interruptible can be terminated by AWS with 2 minutes notice when capacity is needed. Only 2 minutes notice will be given before the termination. So this is the risk. Use case best for fault tolerant, flexible or short-lived workloads. Whenever it is very short time to do something, we can use this particular spot instances. So in this, important to know, you should not use spot instance for critical applications that must run continuously. Okay, for critical application which needs longer time, we can't use this spot instances. To avoid job failures, you can design your applications to be fault tolerant, for example by using Amazon EC2 auto scaling or spot fleet. This can be seen later. We will go to the next one. Okay, next one is shared instances. The word itself reveals the meaning of what is the shared instances. Shared instances refer to Amazon EC2 instances that run on shared physical hardware. Shared physical hardware, meaning the same physical server is used by multiple customers. This is the default tendency setting for most EC2 instances. This is very default. Whenever someone buys the instances, they buy usually the shared instances. Next one is key features of shared instances. Tendency is default. This is very default. Whenever anybody goes for this, this is the default one. This is the basic one. Hardware sharing runs on physical server shared with other AWS customers. That is sharing because it is sharing. Most cost effective because of sharing. And isolation level, virtual isolation, only the physical server is shared. Isolation is the physical, virtual is isolated, but physical server is shared. Use case, general purpose computing. Okay, general purpose we can use computing or web apps. Okay, and for doing some test, developing test something, we can use this. Okay, shared one. When you use shared instances, you don't specify any specific tendency. You accept by default, correct? Whatever they give, you have to accept. AWS manage where and how your instance runs. You are not guaranteed exclusive access to the physical hardware. Anyone cannot control the physical hardware directly. Okay, this is ideal for web servers, development and test environments, non-sensitive workloads that don't require dedicated hardware. Okay, non-sensitive workloads that don't require any dedicated. Okay, the individual when something does not require the privacy, then we can go for this particular shared instances. Dedicated instances, it is just opposite to the shared one. So what are the dedicated instances in AWS EC2? Dedicated instances are Amazon EC2 instances that run on hardware that is physically isolated at the host level from instances of other AWS customers. You still share the hardware with other instances in your own AWS account, but no other AWS accounts instances will be on the same host. Okay, this is the important point. Note, you still share the hardware. So we are sharing the hardware with other instances in your own AWS account. In our own AWS account only we are sharing other instances. But no other AWS accounts instances will be on the same host. Only our own account. If the 2 different companies or 4 different companies having the 4 different accounts mean all this account can be together in the dedicated, but it is all owned by one particular company, same company. Okay, tendency and set to be dedicated. Hardware isolation, physically isolated from other AWS customers instances. Billing border, it is paid for the EC2 instance plus per region, which region it is, hourly fee for the dedicated. Security, most secure than a shared instance due to the hardware level isolation. Flexibility works like on demand or reserved instances. What we saw in the previous classes, the on demand or reserved instances, but it can be isolated overall. Feature hardware use. What is the difference between this shared instance and dedicated instances? Shared with other customers, hardware isolated from other customers. Costs, when you compare the cost between the shared instances and the dedicated instances, the shared one is the lower because of sharing, this one is higher. Okay, this we can use for the general workloads. This is compliance heavy or license restricted apps. This is default. Whenever anybody goes for that, this is the default basic. Then this set to be dedicated, the dedicated one. Hardware sharing. So hardware sharing for this among this thing, shared instances, dedicated instance and dedicated hosts. So this is the table given. Shared across customer, isolated from other customers. Full control over the physical server. Here in the dedicated instance, one cannot have that. License control, there is no license. Here license control is there for dedicated host. Pricing model, instant level. This is instant level plus tendency fee plus this host level. Use case, general apps. We can use it for general. Compliance, secure apps. License control, compliance, audit trial, something we can use it for. Thank you.